You stumble into another day that looks exactly like yesterday. The same alarm, the same scroll, the same tiny promises whispered to yourself and broken before breakfast. And yet, somewhere deep inside, you feel it. The tremor under your ribs that says, this can't be all. You can't shake the sense that you were built for more than surviving other people's expectations. You were built to shape your life, to bend it, to write it. But how? Where do you even begin when the world is loud, when your energy is thin, when your mind keeps replaying mistakes as if they're prophecies? Here's a truth that might sting before it saves you. Your life is already being programmed, not by a computer, not by fate, but by the words you repeat to yourself every day. The question is, are those words building you or breaking you? Most people recite a quiet, cruel script. I'm behind. I'm not ready. I always mess up. I should have started earlier. I can't. And they wonder why every door feels heavy. They wonder why courage shows up late and leaves early. They wonder why joy keeps its distance. But there's another way. A different script, a different soundtrack. 10 simple sentences you can speak into the mirror, into the morning air, into the ache of your chest. Sentences that don't deny the pain but refuse to let pain be the author. Say them with breath. Say them with shaking hands. Say them until your nervous system believes you. Because when your inner voice stops arguing with your future rushes in. Before we go further, I need you to do something with me. Close your eyes. Put your palm against your heart. Feel that rhythm? That's a drum beat older than your doubts. That's life volunteering again. It's saying, I'm still here. Are you? Now open your eyes and meet me at the edge of a new chapter. You won't need perfect conditions. You won't need permission. You will need honesty, discomfort, and a love for yourself strong enough to be disciplined. You will need to talk to yourself like someone you're responsible for healing. You will need to choose words that build a spine and soften a heart at the same time. Listen. We're going to walk through the noise and into a room inside you where the world goes quiet. In that room, your name fits you. Your breath feels like yours. And you remember who you were before fear gave you a smaller map. In that room, you will learn to say the sentences that change the way you stand, the way you show up, the way you love, the way you fight for your life. These are not magic spells. They are the truth you've been starving for. The problem is not that you're weak. The problem is that you've been rehearsing the wrong lines for too long. Picture this. The city is waking up. Horns, headlines, notifications, the pressure to be interesting and impressive on a screen that never sleeps. And there's you, at a kitchen table with a chipped mug, feeling more like an unfinished draft than a person. Your mind is already sprinting into catastrophes that haven't happened. Your past is leaning over your shoulder, smirking. That is the battlefield. Not outside, inside, and you win it one sentence at a time. The first sentence, say it softly at first, then stronger. I am not my yesterday. Your mind will argue. It will pull up footage, evidence, a highlight reel of missteps. Smile at it like an old friend you've outgrown and whisper again, I am not my yesterday. You don't erase your past. You outgrow it. You don't deny your scars. You let them tutor your strength. Yesterday can visit, but it doesn't get a key. When you breathe into those words, something loosens. The knot in your stomach is not gone, but it's listening now. Good, because the second sentence needs room. I choose progress over perfection. Perfection is a liar wearing a tuxedo. It tells you not to start until you can guarantee applause. Progress is a pair of running shoes. It tells you to move while you still care. Choose the shoes. One deliberate step is louder than 1,000 anxious thoughts. You will fail, you will fumble, you will look awkward on the way. That's not proof you're not meant for this. It's proof you're in motion. I once watched a young woman at a dimly lit gym at 5 a.m., hair tied, eyes tired, body heavy with a week of small defeats. She stood in front of the treadmill and stared at the start button like it was a confession booth. If you'd listened closely, you could hear her old script. You blew it yesterday, you ate your plan away, why try today? And then she put one hand on the rail, one finger on the green button, and I saw her lips move. Progress over perfection. She didn't sprint, she walked 10 minutes. She left sweaty, not heroic. But her day bent because her sentence did. That night, she went to bed different, not because of miles, because of momentum. The third sentence meets you where your fear lives. I can do hard things, not someday. Today, not in theory, in practice. Say it when you're tempted to negotiate with comfort. Say it when your lungs burn on the second flight of stairs. Say it when you send the difficult email. Say it when you open the book instead of the app, when you put your shoes by the door, when you ask for help instead of building a fortress out of your pride. I can do hard things is not bravado. It's a promise to your future self that you won't abandon them when the work isn't romantic. There's a teenage boy sitting at a worn wooden desk right now, choking on silence, staring at algebra like it is a foreign language. He keeps glancing at his phone because the phone always offers an easier life. He can feel the mockery of tomorrow if he tries and fails, so he flirts with the idea of not trying at all. He whispers, "I can't do this," and his shoulders fold inward like a tent collapsing in the rain. But look, someone knocked on his door. A mother, a brother, a mentor. They don't give him answers. They give him a sentence. "Say it," they tell him gently. "I can do hard things." He rolls his eyes. He says it anyway. The math does not suddenly make sense, but his back straightens. He stays 5 minutes longer. He gets one problem right. He gets stubborn with resilience. That is how lives bend, not in leaps, but in returns. The fourth sentence, whispered like a secret, then carried like a shield. I refuse to compare my chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Comparison is a thief dressed like a coach. It comes with tips and tricks and an undertone of contempt. It convinces you to measure your raw footage against someone else's edited highlight reel. Turn away. You have your own timeline, your own terrain, your own tempo. You are not late. You are not early. You are on the hour of your becoming. Protect it. Protect it with boundaries and breaks, with a ruthless unfollow button, with the sacred act of looking at your own paper. There's a young entrepreneur who opened a tiny storefront between two glossy giants. Her shelves are crooked. Her sign is hand-painted. Her budget is mostly courage. The first week, she sells 3 items. Online, the giants boast months she cannot fathom. Her chest tightens. She almost closes early on day 7. And then she remembers, refuse to compare. She looks up. A customer walks in. They do not care about the giants. They care about being seen by a human. They leave with a bag and a smile. The receipt is small. The proof is huge. She keeps the lights on another day. She builds a community before she builds an empire. She wins slowly, then suddenly. The 5th sentence is medicine for your heart. I am worthy of love even as I grow. Not when you hit the goal, not after you forgive yourself perfectly, not once you're fixed. Now, because shame is not a strategy. Shame freezes your evolution and calls it discipline. Love, real love, firm love says, I want your greatness too much to let you hide. Speak to yourself with tenderness and truth. Put your hand on your chest when you're tempted to spiral and remind your nervous system, I am safe with me, I am loved by me. When you choose love while you build, you stop swinging between self-worship and self-loathing and start walking the steady road of self-respect. I know a man who used to apologize for existing. He apologized for asking a question, for taking up space in a photo, for wanting a raise that would simply make his life fair. He had learned somewhere that humility meant shrinking. Then he learned a new sentence. I am worthy of love, even as I grow. He put it on a sticky note above his sink. Week by week, he stopped saying sorry when he meant thank you. He stopped saying, if it's not too much trouble, before every request. He stopped laughing at jokes that cut him small. The world didn't crumble when he stood up straighter. His life got bigger. The 6th sentence solves a problem that steals decades. I keep promises to myself. Integrity is not a brand. It's a bridge. It connects who you claim to be with what you repeatedly do. Start smaller than your ego prefers. Promise to drink the glass of water before coffee. Promise to write 1 paragraph. Promise to stretch for 5 quiet minutes. Then deliver. Every kept promise reprograms your brain to trust you, and when you trust you, you stop hunting for motivation in every corner, because consistency becomes who you are. The finish line doesn't feel so far when you make friends with the starting line. There's a woman who wanted to write a book for 13 years. The outline lived on her laptop like a ghost. Every New Year's Day, she swore this was the year. Every February, the vow evaporated. Then one morning, she said 4 simple words out loud. I keep promises to myself. She made a deal she could not wiggle out of. 200 words before unlocking social media. 200 isn't impressive. 200 is inevitable. 200 adds up. In 6 months, she had an ugly, beautiful, honest first draft. She printed it. It was heavier than her excuses. It was proof. The 7th sentence will save your future from your impulses. My feelings are real, but they aren't the boss. Emotional honesty is sacred. Emotional dictatorship is chaos. Feel what you feel, fully, bravely, without editing, and then ask, what action aligns with my values, not just my mood? Train your emotions to ride shotgun while your principles drive. You are not a puppet of your latest sensation. You are a steward. The music of your feelings matters, but the map of your values keeps you from turning every temporary storm into a permanent address. A father sits in his car after work, exhausted to the bone, the kind of tired that makes small voices in the house feel like thunder. He wants 30 minutes of silence. He will get 5. He can choose to snap, or he can choose to breathe. He says the sentence, "My feelings are real, but they aren't the boss." He lingers for 3 extra inhales. He walks in and kneels to meet his child's eyes. He still feels tired. He chooses presence. He changes the night. He goes to bed the same kind of tired, but a tired that respects itself. The 8th sentence is the heartbeat of growth. I am a student always. The moment you decide you're finished learning is the moment you start shrinking. When you approach your life with curiosity instead of certainty, the world becomes a friendly classroom instead of a hostile exam. Ask questions. Listen like there's gold under every sentence. Admit when you don't know. Trade defensiveness for hunger. Pride whispers, you should already be there. Wisdom smiles and says, let's go further. There's a manager who keeps losing talented people because she mistakes control for leadership. One day, in an exit interview, instead of defending herself, she asks, what did I miss? The answer hurts. She doesn't argue with the mirror. She studies. She practices. She asks for feedback when she's not being critiqued. Slowly, the atmosphere changes. People stop whispering fear and start speaking ideas. Her department begins to bloom because her ego finally stopped trying to be the sun. The 9th sentence rewires scarcity. I live in gratitude, not in lack. Gratitude isn't denial, it's direction. It points your eyes to what's here, so you have strength to go after what's next. You can hold hunger in one hand and gratitude in the other without cheating either. Start simple. Thank your morning for happening again. Thank your legs for carrying you, your lungs for listening, your past for teaching, your friends for staying. Gratitude is oxygen for the fire of ambition. Without it, the flame chokes on its own smoke. There's a nurse on the night shift who walks past rooms full of beeping machines and prayers that sound like whisper shouts. She watches people fight for one more sunrise. Every time she steps outside at dawn, the sky looks like permission. She counts 3 good things before she checks her phone. She is not naive. She is nourished. Gratitude does not make her soft. It makes her strong enough to keep showing up in the worst moments with the best of herself. And the 10th sentence, the one that threads the others together, the one that requires both courage and rest, I will show up today, not perfectly, not dramatically, present. You can't steer a parked car. Show up to the rep, the meeting, the conversation, the apology, the first 5 minutes, the next breath. You will not feel like it most days. Do it anyway. The sun doesn't ask permission to rise. It rises, and the world realigns around it. Be like that with your effort. Let me tell you a little story. Yours. Told in a different light. It's Tuesday. Your alarm shakes you before dawn, and the first thing you feel is the gravity of your old script tugging at your ankles. You want to snooze your life away. You don't. You sit up. Your throat is dry and honest. You whisper into the early gray, I am not my yesterday. It isn't dramatic. It's true. You put your feet on the floor and sense how the carpet welcomes you back like a friend. Progress over perfection. You remind yourself, pouring water before coffee. The glass clinks like a small victory bell. You open your notebook, just a page, blank enough to be terrifying. The desk is not glamorous. The room is not curated. The silence feels like judgment until you name it focus. I can do hard things. You write one messy paragraph. It's not genius, but it is yours. You send the email you've been avoiding for 3 days. You don't add a paragraph of apologies to the request. You don't rehearse 1,000 possible rejections. You hit send. You stand up a little taller. I refuse to compare. You do not check the shiny stranger's highlight reel before you check in with your own soul. At lunch, a mistake tries to drag you back into the past. You say the sentence out loud as you walk to the sink to breathe. I am worthy of love even as I grow. You don't spiral, you repair. Afternoon arrives with its usual temptation. Abandon the gym, postpone the task, reward yourself with avoidance. You go anyway, not for a trophy, for a promise. I keep promises to myself. On the treadmill, when your body negotiates, you smile. My feelings are real, but they aren't the boss. You do not kill yourself. You finish what you started. On the commute home, you speak a quiet thank you into the air. I live in gratitude, not in lack. The day wasn't perfect, it was honest. At night, you sit on the edge of your bed, the room lit by a lamp that makes everything feel a little softer than the world insists. You put your palm back on your heart. I will show up again tomorrow, and you will, because you're building a new identity, one sentence at a time. Now, you might be thinking, it can't be that simple. And you're right, it's not simple, it's sacred. Words are not magic, they're maps, and maps don't walk for you, they guide. The power is not in speaking these sentences once while inspired. The power is in saying them when you're bored, busy, bruised, and brutally honest. The power is morning after morning, night after night, when you rebuild the small ruins inside you with patient hands. Let's talk about the resistance you will feel. It will come in two disguises. The first is mockery, the voice that laughs. Affirmations? Really? Smile at it. You are not chanting fantasies, you are practicing focus. Boxers shadow box before real fights. Musicians rehearse scales before symphonies. You are rehearsing courage before the world asks for it. The second disguise is fatigue. I'm too tired to care, you'll say. I'll start next week. That is the trap door under every dream. When you are too tired, make the sentences shorter, but do not make them silent. Whisper one line. Breathe once like you mean it. Place one foot on the floor and call it holy. Here's the aha people miss. These 10 sentences are not goals. They are identities. Goals are events. Identity is endurance. If you chase events, your life will be a series of sprints followed by collapses. If you claim identity, your life becomes a marathon with water stations. The person who says, I keep promises to myself, doesn't rely on motivation, they rely on their name. The person who says, I choose progress over perfection, doesn't fear being seen trying, they fear never trying at all. The person who says, I am a student always, doesn't crumble under criticism, they harvest it. You will notice something wild happen after a week. You will catch yourself stopping mid-sentence when you speak poorly about yourself. You will feel the tug to gossip, then choose quiet dignity. You will decide not to explain your boundaries like they're crimes. You will return to your breath when anxiety asks you to live 15 futures in your mind. You will do small, brave things while no one claps, and you will feel a new warmth behind your ribs, the warmth of self-trust. That warmth will change how you love, how you work, how you rest. Let's anchor these sentences in scenarios because theory won't keep you when your life is loud. Imagine you're in a lobby waiting for an interview that makes your hands sweat. The door opens. The room smells like polished wood and fluorescent expectations. Your throat tightens. Old scripts wake up. You're an imposter. They're about to find out. That's when you close your eyes for one heartbeat and murmur, I can do hard things. I am a student. Always. I keep promises to myself. You don't pretend you're the most brilliant person in the building. You choose to be the bravest. You look them in the eye like a peer, not a beggar. You don't search their faces for permission to exist. You decide to add value, not beg for value. That shifts the energy of the room. They feel it. You feel it more. Or you're sitting on your bed after a breakup that ripped through you like weather. The future you planned dissolved, and you can't stop replaying the edit where you are to blame for everything. You want to text for closure that won't come. You want to scroll for proof that they're miserable too. You don't. You breathe. You say, I am not my yesterday. I am worthy of love, even as I grow. I live in gratitude, not in lack. You list 3 ways the relationship taught you to love better. Your next partner will meet a wiser version of you because of what you survived. You cry, you sleep. In the morning, you stand, and the mirror reflects someone you're learning to respect. Or you're a parent at a kitchen table covered with homework, bills, and cereal crumbs, trying to be everything to everyone and losing yourself in the process. You catch your reflection in the microwave door and almost don't recognize them. You want to abandon your own dreams until your children are 20, then you imagine looking them in the eyes someday and telling them to chase theirs while you never chased yours. The hypocrisy tastes bitter. You decide on an hour a week for your craft, your degree, your strength, your healing. You say, I will show up today. You mean it. You write while they nap. You study while they watch a cartoon. You lift a dumbbell in the hallway between loads of laundry. They see you becoming. One day they'll copy you. I won't lie to you. Some days these sentences will feel like pushing a boulder uphill in the rain. And some days they will feel like running downhill under a blue sky so big you can hardly breathe. Both are holy. Both are proof you're alive. If you're looking for permission to start imperfectly, here it is. If you're waiting for the loud voice of destiny, it may not come. The quiet voice of discipline will. That voice will ask you to repeat simple truths when your mind craves complexity. That voice will teach you to stop romanticizing the finish line and fall in love with the daily mile. Right here, right now, let's practice together. Say them with me, not as slogans, but as vows you plan to keep when nobody's watching. I am not my yesterday. I choose progress over perfection. I can do hard things. I refuse to compare. I am worthy of love. Even as I grow, I keep promises to myself. My feelings are real, but they aren't the boss. I am a student, always. I live in gratitude, not in lack. I will show up today. Feel what happens when those words meet your breath. Notice how your chest expands to make room for the person you're becoming. That's not delusion. That's alignment. That's dignity. That's you remembering that your life will rise or fall to the level of your self-conversation. If this message found you in your car, outside the gym, in a bathroom, at work wiping tears before a meeting, on a bus with dreams bigger than your paycheck, in a kitchen where the sink is full and the world expects you to smile, know this: you are not behind. You are not broken. You are beginning again. And beginnings are the bravest parts of any story. When this video ends, do not let the world rush in before you seal the work we did here. Stand, walk to a mirror, look at yourself like a promise, speak one sentence out loud, then go do one action that matches it. Not 10. 1. Send the email, take the walk, drink the water, open the book, apologize with your whole chest, ask for the meeting, start the course, stretch, pray, breathe, laugh, choose one. Do it like it matters, because it does. If this voice in your ear helped you breathe a little deeper, helped you stand a little taller, helped you remember your name, keep it with you. Hit subscribe so I can keep speaking to the part of you that refuses to settle. Like this video, if it lit a match in a dark room inside you, share it with the friend who forgets their power, the sibling who needs a nudge, the past version of you who could have used this last year. And when you're ready to go further, when you're ready to build a morning routine that lives out these sentences in motion, watch the next video, right there, when this ends. It's not background noise, it's a blueprint. Before you go, I want to leave you with a question that might live in your mind all week, waking you up when you want to sleep on your potential. If you could only keep one of these sentences for the rest of your life, only one to anchor your days, which one would you tattoo into your mornings, and why? Maybe you already know which one. Maybe it rose like a lighthouse above the others the moment I asked. Hold that one close. Let it sit on your tongue like a vow, because what you keep repeating becomes what you keep becoming. That's not superstition. That's wiring. And right now, together, we're going to wire something beautiful and stubborn inside you. Stubborn enough to outlast your excuses, beautiful enough to soften your resistance when it spikes like a sudden storm. Picture the next 7 mornings as a quiet revolution. Not a dramatic montage with epic music, just you, breath and body, a door frame to pass through, a mirror that has watched every version of you try, stall, try again. On morning 1, you don't chase perfection. You don't redesign your whole life. You pick up your anchor sentence like a key and you unlock the day. Maybe it's, I keep promises to myself. You whisper it with sleep still heavy on your eyes. You pour water first. You stretch your shoulders. You step outside for 90 seconds, yes, seconds, to greet air that doesn't owe you anything and still shows up. It's small, it's sacred. It's you making a deposit in the account of self-trust. Morning 2, resistance is on time. It greets you with yawns that pretend to be chains. Your bed feels like an argument you almost lose. Then you remember, my feelings are real, but they aren't the boss. You don't dismiss your tiredness. You guide it. You swing your feet to the floor like a decision. You put your hand to your heart and you say your sentence out loud, just loud enough for your nervous system to hear the new captain. Your day doesn't explode with miracles. It opens a little, enough to walk through. Morning 3, your mind offers you a highlight reel of other people's wins. Weddings, promotions, abs from angles. You feel the tug to measure your morning against someone else's afternoon. You breathe. I refuse to compare my chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. You open your notebook and write 3 lines you needed to hear at age 15. You write them to yourself now. You underline 1. You look up feeling less alone inside your body. Morning 4, the world asks for hustle with no heart. It wants output with no soul. You look around and everything feels transactional. Give me your best, but we won't give you rest. You inhale. I live in gratitude, not in lack. You name 5 things that are not glamorous, but are good. The way sunlight turns your kitchen into a small cathedral. The friend who sends the meme that always lands. The teacher who made you feel seen. The cheap pen that writes like a rich one. The ability to try again when 1,000 people pray for one more chance to try anything at all. Your chest loosens, not because struggle vanished, because you remembered you're standing on something, not falling through nothing. Morning 5, a memory visits with teeth. It gnaws at your confidence. You're replaying the moment you froze in a meeting, the message you sent that read like a plea instead of a boundary, the silence you gave when love asked you to show up. Shame tries to script the day. You interrupt it with a sentence that feels like a spine. I am not my yesterday. You are not deleting chapters, you are turning pages. You jot a quick apology to someone you owe one. Responsibility replaces rumination. The past loses its throne. Morning 6, you get ambitious. You write down a dream and your stomach flips like it does when the roller coaster is about to drop. Fear steps in, wearing a suit tailored from your old failures. Who do you think you are? It asks sweetly, cruelly. You answer, calm and clear, I can do hard things. You don't sprint into heroic burnout. You pick one difficult action and do it while your hands are still shaking. The call, the rep, the application, the boundary. Your hands stop shaking because they found something to hold. Courage in motion. Morning 7, life is loud. Notifications stack like bricks. People need you. Deadlines flare. A dozen open tabs in your browser, 100 open loops in your mind. You cut the noise with the gentlest knife. I am a student, always. Suddenly the day is not an exam you're doomed to fail. It's a class you're blessed to take. Curiosity replaces panic. You ask better questions. What's useful here? What is this challenge teaching me? Where is my next honest inch? Learning turns chaos into choreography. And when night lands, because it will, because every day ends whether you use it or waste it, you sit at the edge of your bed and perform a small ritual of respect. You review moments you showed up when you didn't feel like it. You whisper thank you to your effort. You don't audit yourself into misery. You account yourself into momentum. Then you speak the 10th sentence like a soft drum beat under your breathing. I will show up again tomorrow. You set clothes out. You set a glass by the sink. You set boundaries on the screen that steals your sleep. You set the tone for a life that belongs to you. Listen, people will scoff at simple sentences because they are looking for complicated salvation. But the life you ache for isn't built in rare explosions. It's built in daily ignition. It's the match, then the wick, then the flame you protect from every wind until it becomes a steady fire. That fire warms more than you. It warms the people who love you. It warms strangers who felt cold in their own skin until they met someone who walked with quiet certainty rather than loud insecurity. Let me take you into 3 rooms you'll walk through again and again as you practice. The first is the room of doubt. It's where you hear familiar echoes. You're late. It's too big. Start tomorrow. In this room, you don't fight echoes with arguments. You outsing them with truth. You let I choose progress over perfection be the soundtrack. You shrink your goal until it's smaller than your excuse. You choose the version of the task you cannot wriggle out of. 10 minutes, 1 email, 15 push-ups against the wall, not the floor. You collect tiny wins until doubt gets bored of losing and leaves. The second is the room of pressure. Eyes on you. Expectations thick as fog. Your chest tightens. You want to perform a version of yourself you think they'll applaud. You pause. You remember, my feelings are real, but they aren't the boss. You let your values drive. Honesty over polish, presence over posing, generosity over grandstanding. You speak slower than your anxiety wants you to. You ask one clarifying question instead of acting like you already know. You contribute rather than compete with ghosts. After, you walk out the same height you walked in. Pressure did not shrink you, it carved you. The third is the room of setbacks. You missed. You fell. You embarrassed yourself. You regressed into an old habit so fast it frightened you. In this room, most people choose a corner labeled self-punishment and camp there for weeks. You're done with that. You choose repair. You choose return. You choose the sentence that turns shame into craftsmanship. I keep promises to myself. You don't punish your future for your past. You keep the next promise in front of you. You rebuild in hours what used to take you months to remember. That turnaround time, that's victory most people never measure. I want you to see what happens when these sentences are tested by real weather. A young woman sits in a car outside a therapist's office for the first time. Her hands won't stop sweating. The old narrative is loud. You should be over it by now. She closes her eyes. I am worthy of love, even as I grow. She walks in. She tells the truth out loud, and it shakes her. Healing doesn't look cinematic. It looks like a tissue pile and a calendar reminder to come back. She comes back. One day she laughs in a way that feels unfamiliar because it isn't guarded. That laugh becomes a landmark in her life. It started with a sentence. A father with 2 jobs and a calendar packed like an overstuffed suitcase wants a degree he abandoned at 21. He stares at course catalogs like they are written in code. Pride tells him not to ask for help. Fear tells him he's ridiculous. He picks up the phone anyway. I can do hard things. He schedules 1 class at a time. He studies in 20-minute blocks behind the wheel at lunch. He misses a quiz because life is messy. He doesn't quit. 2 years later, his kid sits in the bleachers holding a sign that says, "Go Dad." The degree is paper. The identity he built while earning it is steel. A creator posts art into a void for months. 20 views, 41 views, 5 likes, 3 of which are her cousins. She is tempted to measure her worth with numbers someone else controls. She remembers, I refuse to compare. She keeps building, not branding her soul, but offering it. A small community forms. People who don't just scroll, they stay. One day the algorithm nods. That's nice, but she knows the real win happened long before the nod. She became the kind of person who keeps creating without applause. When the applause finally comes, it cannot control her because it did not create her. Now I want to speak directly to the quiet ache you carry, the one that whispers, I've tried all this before. You have, and you're still here, which means your desire to grow is more faithful than your history of stopping. That alone is stunning. The question is not, will I be perfect this time? The question is, will I return faster? That is the skill of a lifetime, the speed of return. To yourself, to your values, to your sentences. The more quickly you return after drifting, the less damage the drift does. Return is a superpower. Practice it like you brush your teeth, daily, unceremoniously, with love. Here's a practice that will feel small but works like water on stone. Choose thresholds. The car door when you arrive at work, the front door when you come home, the bathroom mirror before bed. Each threshold becomes a cue to quietly repeat your anchor sentence. No one has to know you will, your body will. Habits love anchors. You're building a constellation of them so you can navigate in the dark. And when the day goes off the rails, and it will, you deploy the 2-minute truce. 2 minutes where you pause the frenzy to protect your identity. No phone, just breath, just your sentence, just one smallest next action that matches it. If your sentence is, I keep promises to myself, you drink the water. If it's I am a student, always, you ask a question instead of defending. If it's I live in gratitude, not in lack, you list 3 good things with your eyes open and your shoulders dropping. When the 2 minutes end, you're not a new person. You're you again, the you that leads, not follows chaos. People will tell you discipline and mean punishment. We are redefining it together. Discipline is remembering what you said you wanted and treating that memory like a friend, not a guard. Discipline is the love that keeps showing up when excitement leaves the party early. Discipline is not loud. It does not flex. It does not post. It just keeps building under everything until everything it touches is stronger. And yes, you will have days where grief sits on your chest like weight you can't lift. On those days, the sentence isn't a pep talk. It's a hand. It holds you while you cry. It doesn't rush you to meaning. It reminds you that even in sorrow, you can choose one true thing. I will show up today might look like brushing your teeth and texting, I need help. I am worthy of love. Even as I grow might look like not calling yourself dramatic for feeling what you feel. I am not my yesterday might mean forgiving yourself for only giving 10% when you wanted to give 100%. That mercy is not laziness, it's wisdom. Bodies break under brutality. They rebuild under care. There is a moment in every transformation where you meet a quieter version of fear. Not the screaming kind, the negotiating kind. It says, let's slow down just a bit. You don't want to lose people. You don't want to make others uncomfortable. You nod because you are kind. Then you remember kindness to self is not cruelty to others. You remember boundaries are how love survives. You say your sentence. My feelings are real, but they aren't the boss. The conversation you've avoided happens. You shake while you speak. You end the call and feel a grief that's honest and a relief that's truer. That relief is your life expanding to fit the truth. Right now, I want you to imagine the version of you 3 months from now. Not the fantasy version who wakes at 4 a.m., speaks 6 languages by breakfast, and reads 12 books a week while running a marathon and starting a company before lunch. The real, radiant version who kept a handful of small promises until those promises became pillars. What do they look like walking into a room? How do they breathe when mistakes happen? How do they speak about themselves when nobody is listening? Do they flinch when compliments arrive, or do they say thank you like a person who believes they have value? Can you see their calendar? Fewer frantic yeses, more deliberate commitments, more white space that says, I honor my energy like it matters. That person is not a stranger. That person is a repetition away. Let's talk about the voice that visits at 2 a.m. when ceilings turn into screens where you project all your worries. It whispers, what if you fail publicly? Better question, what if you live privately defeated because you refuse to try? It asks, what if they laugh? Better question, what if you laugh one day at the fear that almost ran your life because you chose to move while your hands trembled? It insists, what if it takes too long? Better question, what if time passes anyway and you arrive in a future built by drift instead of design? Answer the voice with a smile and a sentence. I choose progress over perfection. Then give tomorrow one assignment, only one. Completion creates quiet. There's a couple fighting gently in a grocery store aisle, not yelling, exhaustion-flavored snips. They are not enemies. They are hungry, under-rested, overextended humans trying not to keep score. The cart is a metaphor for their marriage, full of essentials, missing softness. One of them stops, places a hand on the cart and says, "Let's reset." The other exhales like a truce. They both say, "My feelings are real, but they aren't the boss." In that aisle, under industrial lights, they choose tone over being right. They leave with groceries and a plan to go to bed 10 minutes earlier like it's a radical act. That night, they touch feet under blankets. The world did not change. Their world did. A college freshman sits alone at a cafeteria table pretending to text. Loneliness drips slow. The temptation to